A true blue, wait, true red conservative voice of the people, a patriot of red, white, and blue proportions. You can see and hear him weeknights, 9 p.m. on Fox News Channel, on his outstanding show, wearing his name, Hannity, confronting him on policies, politics, agendas. You better be ready for a banter battle. And hey, you better think twice before provoking the man physically. UFC legend Chuck Liddell trained him in MMA. Hopefully it never comes to that, Sean. Hey, thank you, Mr. Sean Hannity.
Oh, man. I'm doing an interview. I don't think I've never, ever had an introduction like that in the 30-some-odd years I've been in media. Jim, great to be on with you, sir. How are you? And thank you for doing this.
Hey, thank you, sir. Very much so. Thank you, Sean. Hey, this is so cool because now let me get this all correct here. I'm reading some of the press release. So Fox News channels, Sean Hannity will moderate a red versus blue state debate between Florida Governor and Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, Sunshine State, and Democrat California Governor Gavin Newsom. Saw your interview with him. Amazing, great. You know what? I sort of like the guy, but on November 30th, the 90-minute debate, which will occur in Georgia, will air on Hannity at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And I know you talked to him about that, about doing a debate. How did that come to fruition then, too, after the fact? And just what is it like? Because we know where you stand, and obviously we know where Governor DeSantis stands, but you're getting the other side on this, too. How important is it to do that?
You're asking great questions. It happened organically. Actually, it happened during that interview. Everybody knows they kind of have had this, battle of the words going back and forth, and even I think one of the governors went to the other state and billboards. I don't know, whatever ads or whatever they're. So on paper you think that wow, here you've got two heavyweights, right? You got Florida Governor DeSantis, you got Governor Gavin Newsom, two of the biggest states in the country, but yet you could not look at two different governing philosophies, right, than what we see in these two guys. And so the idea that Governor Newsom, to his credit, when I said, okay, would you want to debate Governor DeSantis? And he's like, absolutely, I'll do it any place, anytime, anywhere. I only need a day's notice. I'm like, good, and it's okay if I moderate it. Yeah, done. Okay, 90-minute debate, done. So it's and then we got in touch with Governor DeSantis' people, and here we are. I'm not allowed to give out. Well, I gave my word. I wouldn't give out details of much more than the information that is out there already. There will be a little more information in the weeks ahead, but I'm looking forward to just being there. And I think that I can't think of a time when the country's been this divided, and I can't think of a time where.
Amen.
Where you're going to have two guys that are going to lay out two distinctly different visions for their view of governance. And, at that point, I want to hear from both of them. I want to understand, how is it possible? How do you reconcile, for example, how do you reconcile defund, dismantle, no bail laws with those that want law and order? How do you reconcile those that want America to be energy dominant, energy independent, with those that want to put forward artificial deadlines for green energy when I would argue the technology is not even perfect? How do you reconcile sanctuary state status versus securing our borders? Just you go down the list. It's big. How do you reconcile taxing people income tax at 13.5%, and how does another state have zero income taxes? How do you explain high gas taxes in one state versus lower gas taxes in a state? So it really is blue versus red, state versus state. I know a lot of people have been reading more into it. I guess that's fine. But that's kind of how it all came together, and I'm looking forward to it.
It is so cool, so interesting. It's going to be so informative. everyone could watch this, no matter who you support, if you're in the middle, whatever it is. But I'm so curious because I know you've been doing this a long time. I know you're a pro's pro. And I know by the guests you've had on your show that a lot of people respect you. But I'm just curious. How do you take a back seat as the moderator? Because you know you have your views, your opinions and all. Just how do you do that? And you've already gained the respect of the California governor.
Listen, I'm going to be very upfront about it. I'm not debating. I am not part of this debate, except that I'm the moderator, and except that I'm going to be asking the questions, and how they answer is going to be completely up to them. And one of the things that I really like about the way this has come together is, unlike, for example, primary debates where you have 6 or 8 or 10 people on a stage.
No, too many.
It's just too many. And, with 90 minutes and the issues before us as a country and the issues worldwide that we're dealing with, I can't think of a more appropriate time for people to just listen and hear, how is it we think so differently on these issues? And then maybe in their own minds, maybe they'll be convinced, maybe they won't be convinced. Who has the more compelling answer? There might be, for example, maybe people will be, scoring the debate on style, but to me, I'm going to be listening for substance. I want an America where we don't have over 60% of Americans living paycheck to paycheck. Mm-hmm. Personally, I want secure borders. But listening to other people's views and answers, what's the downside of that? Look, you have 2 extremely bright, smart people here. They're both pros. They both have been in this business, this game for a long time. And to give them an opportunity to express their views in front of each other, maybe challenge each other's views. This is just gonna. I can't predict with any level of certainty how it's going to end. I do think that it'll be substantive. That's something that's going to be really important to me. That they stay on substance. I want to give it as much room as possible to let it breathe, and I think that's going to happen naturally.
This has a big fight feel. UFC, WWE, that's where I go because that's my passion. That's my thing. And I'm curious, is there going to be, I don't know if you could...
The only thing missing here is the octagon. That's it. By the way, I could call Dana White and ask Dana, maybe we should put it inside there, but I don't think that would go over well with some others.
Yeah, I don't know if it would either. Or Vince McMahon or one of the group with the steel cage. I don't know if that's going to go either.
I don't know if a steel cage match would be applicable, man.
Well, that, what a segue into this then, because I want to ask you another question I was getting ready for, but I got to segue to this. So, hey, you've got a little MMA in you. So who do you got in an MMA fight, DeSantis or Newsom?
I'm the moderator. I got to keep that spot. By the way, and I'm gonna be watching the clock. I'm gonna try and make sure I'm gonna get as close to equal time as I can. I'm gonna try and look. I don't want to be a hall monitor during this debate, and I don't think I'm gonna have to be, because I think there's enough time and enough room in there for everybody to give their full answer, that they don't necessarily feel rushed, that they can give context and texture. If Governor DeSantis' minute is up, but he's finishing a last thought, of course I would give a little flexibility, let him finish, then just try and give Governor DeSantis the same amount of time to respond or whatever. And I want to go deep into these topics. I would really want to ask some. I want to go deep into all of the issues that are impacting states, impacting people's lives. These are 2 leaders of their party. These are 2 leaders of philosophical thought that is diametrically opposed. And I can't imagine it's not going to be interesting as hell. I can't imagine that. I can't imagine.
Well, the debate, you're going to be fair. You'll be the moderator, but I still go back to an MMA fight. Hannity, who you got in an MMA fight?
Hey, by the way, if you watched the fight this weekend, I thought that fight was stopped too early.
No, man. But you know what? The officials, it takes away There's got to be a better way to do this, officiating and judging and all. Because we've been going through this with boxing for years, and now MMA.
Yeah, look, I don't want to be too critical because you don't want somebody getting killed in the ring, in the octagon either, right?
Right.
So they've got to balance that, and if they think somebody's, that there's no way this person's coming back and he's taking too big a pounding. These guys, I have nothing but the deepest respect for anybody that steps in that octagon. And, this is a gladiator sport for sure. And, you're getting hit, hard, and, it's a tough call sometimes. And, even, what do you do, for example, you have somebody in an arm bar and they don't want to tap. You and I both know what the next thing that's going to happen if he keeps him there, right?
Yeah.
So, what does the judge do in that set of circumstances? It's easy to be a critic on the outside. I don't want to be too critical of him. I just thought that one, I wanted to see a little more before we ended it.
I don't know if it's a situation where, not just this one, where you let the doctor go in there. I know it stops the momentum and everything like that, and check the guy out or the woman out, and then he can continue, she can continue. I don't know what the answer is. It's a difficult situation and all. But I'm curious for you. So you get into MMA, and how the heck do you get Chuck Liddell to train you? How did that go? How did that happen? Come on, Hannity.
It was a lot of fun. The Ice Men, I got to tell you, for me it was a thrill. I've had Conor McGregor on my TV show, which has been fun too. He had raised some money for, I forget the charity. You got to look this up. I think it's the Tunnel to Towers Foundation. I ended up giving $100,000 that night too.
Wow.
Support work, and they're just such a great organization. But you know what? I love all these guys. I think they're all warriors in their own right. Look, I've been training. I have a sensei. I train 4 or 5 days a week. I train an hour and a half a day. And that to me is like sacred time. I get up in the morning and that's part of my routine. But I will be honest, I very humbly say this. It's very old school. We bow in, we bow out. If I'm training with other people, it's all respect. If we're training, with sticks, or obviously not real blades or real firearms, but if we're doing training with fake, I have to say this loudly because the media will flip out. But we do train sticks, blades, firearms, etc. But we point our weapons down. We're not there to hurt each other. I'm old enough now. We all have to go to work the next day. We don't have the luxury of beating the crap out of each other and showing up at work with two black eyes and a broken nose, right? So, but we do spar. We do grapple. I've been training for this period of time. For a while, I was doing the belt system, but I do such an eclectic blend of varying arts. It's really, a lot of it for me is geared toward health and fitness and situational self-defense. And, so it's sort of a combination of Krav Maga, Kempo, Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, boxing, situational street fighting. I practice drills every day. We have some days we call keeping it real. And throughout it, for an hour and a half, my sensei's coming at me with, he'll come up behind me, he'll try to choke me out, or, he might give me a bar push, or he might pull out we have this yellow rubber gun. It's not a real gun, obviously.
Yeah.
And, he may just point it at my forehead or come up behind me, stick it in my back, and I got to react. And, we've been doing it so long that it's automatic for me. And that's what situational self-defense is about. Yeah. And I'll say this, Jim, honestly, I never want to have to use the skills that I've been taught, that I've developed, that I've trained for. Because I've gotten pretty good over the years. I'm not saying I win every fight or want to be in the octagon, but I am telling you, I do know how to, handle myself. I've also been a big believer in the Second Amendment my whole life. I've had a carry permit in every state that I've lived in, and I never, ever, ever in my life want to pull that out, ever. I respect human life too much. Let's put it this way. With all my training and all my ability to defend myself, if I knew I was being opportunity to run away from a situation where I knew I would probably end up hurting somebody, I'd run. And I wouldn't care that people thought that was gutless or cowardly. You know what? I'm not looking for a fight. I'm looking, you know what? I'm a peaceful guy. I don't want to hurt people. And nor am I going to let people hurt me.
When you talk about MMA, you talk about karate, any type of martial art discipline. It's not about being the aggressor. It's not about being the one coming after. It's about only fight if you have to. Only fight if you have to. But you shouldn't have to be looking for it, or if provoked a little bit. You know, it's almost like, no, let's diffuse this first before having to get into physicalities.
We spent time training that too, how to diffuse, varying situations that might come up. And I take the arts really seriously. I train really hard. I hit the heavy bag every day, bare-fisted. And, I've also included, we do a lot of core work, a lot of push-ups and sit-ups. I added lifting maybe a couple of years back. I'd never lifted in my life. And we were getting a little crazy with it, and I was putting on too much weight, so I had to stop. But I really enjoy every bit of the process and have nothing but really great respect for those people that have mastered these arts, be it a specific art or a more eclectic blend like I have. Look, my sensei understands my situation is very unique in that I could be in a restaurant and I'm going to be confronted. Okay, whatever that scenario turns out to be, I already know there's 7 different things that'll race through my head immediately to, if I have to defend myself and my loved ones if they're with me. But again, I'd rather just say, can I buy you a drink? Can I buy you a bottle of water? I'd go there first every time.
Well, I'm just so curious with this because I believe you're in Florida, moving to Florida, whatever the scenario is. There's a great place down here, American Top Team, in Coconut Creek in South Florida. I'm curious, have you, Dan Lambert, Conan, the great Conan, legendary, Richie, the whole crew there, and so many great fighters at ATT. I'm just curious, have you ever been there? Have you ever thought of maybe coming down and training a little bit there?
But, my training's going to continue. Some of it'll be, I haven't made a final decision, but I'm leaning towards, moving to Florida, hopefully sooner than later. But I will tell you that, one thing about my sensei, this has been his passion for 40 years. This guy's a lawyer, and he's a lawyer that was also worked on Wall Street. But he just pursued his passion, and, he has, I don't even know how many black belts he has. I mean, he's very old school. Again, if I'm training with him alone, we bow in, we bow out. If you're training with other people, you turn and bow to your training partners. You're always looking to we train hard, but we train safely. I have no interest in hurting anybody in the dojo, and they have no interest in hurting me. There's actually a rule. Hannity's got to go on TV tonight. Leave his face alone.
Are they? Is everyone signing waivers? What's going on here?
You know what? They're like, come on, Sensei. A black guy will make them look much cooler on TV.
That's right. Chicks love the black eye and the tattoos. And the home run. And the home runs.
But we do kind of cool stuff, too. I mean, I haven't done it a lot lately because I'm just getting older. But, I mean, part of the training is what we call pain day. And, I mean, I can just tell you my sensei hits so freaking hard that, I'll stand there and, tighten up, and he's going to hit me in the stomach, and it gets harder every time he hits, and usually by the 4th hit, he'll drop me. And that's a little painful. Or I have to stretch out my arms. He's a big believer that you're not going to be able to defend yourself if you can't take some pain and take a hit. And I think he's right. So you just, I stretch out my arm, and, he's literally doing a hammer punch with the densest hammer punch you've ever been hit with. Trust me, it hurts. God forbid he nicks the side of your arm, forget it. You're not moving that arm for the next 4 days.
Unbelievable. All this, what you go through is amazing that you would do this. And it's so cool. I don't know if you, George Perro, which is a retired FBI agent, he was in Miami, well known. He's been in American Top Team training now. And he active in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and all. I find it interesting, FBI, CIA, whoever, it doesn't matter that too, that it's so important to have some type of experience in some of these disciplines.
Yeah, that's why we do so much situational work. For me, it's situational. And, this is where, like, I maybe lean towards Krav Maga more than anything else because, I mean, you're going to win the fight. That's basically how, it doesn't matter what you do. I mean, we're talking about, eye pokes, headbutts, eye gouges, whatever you got to do to win. If somebody's trying to take your life, you learn how to do. But I'll be very blunt with you. I'm very careful where I go in public. I go to the same restaurants all the time. I do it on purpose. I do it because I don't want to put anybody that's with me in any danger. I always have my I never have my back to the room. Yeah. I like to sit out and look at the room to make sure I have, a plan if God forbid somebody. I mean, it's kind of strange. It's such a polarized political time that I can walk in a room and in 2 seconds read if somebody hates my gut. You can see it, especially in New York. That's not hard to find.
Oh gosh, yeah.
So, or you can see in somebody's face that maybe they're a fan of the show, whatever. And then I always try to accommodate and say hi, and if they want to, whenever if they wave to me or whatever, I'll go over and shake their hand or whatever.
I can't wait for the day where you or anyone from the other side can go somewhere, and even if someone doesn't like your opinions or your views, can shake your hand and say hello. I mean, come on.
By the way, isn't that idiotic? Let me tell you how I would act. You can name any liberal that you know I probably wouldn't like. And if I saw them in a restaurant, I promise you, because I do it all the time, I would either send over drinks for the table or a bottle of wine. I'll do it every time. Or if I do go over, if somehow I'm passing them, I say, so, hey, very nice to meet you. How are you? And be very polite.
Yeah.
That's the way I was raised.
It's the way, to me, it's the way it should be. That's how I feel.
It is the way it should be. Just because we have different, people, it kind of went viral. At one point I said, why is everyone hating on, Kelsey and Taylor? I'm like, why don't we leave these guys alone? I said, okay, so maybe they don't have politics I agree with, but I admire the fact that Taylor Swift writes her own songs. I admire how she treats her fans. I admire her. She gave like $100,000 bonus to everybody on her crew.
Yeah.
On the last tour.
Wow.
She does nearly a 4-hour, 40-plus song set. She really gives people their money's worth if you go to one of her shows. Kelsey is one of the best tight ends in all of football. I could care less that, we have different political points of view. And, my attitude is, why don't we wish them the best and hope that, that they have a great relationship together.
I don't mind. Good for them is what I say. I just wish Kelsey was wearing a Dolphins uniform instead of Chiefs. All right, let me let me sort of wrap this up. I'll throw a couple more questions. I'll try to get these in quick. You mentioned Conor McGregor. What would that look like, a Conor McGregor show on Fox News Channel? Could we survive that?
Yeah. It depends. We're going to see the Conor McGregor beating up the bus, or we're going to see the Conor McGregor beating up his opponent, right?
Yes, not the bus. No chair throwing at the buses. No.
I got to be honest. I mean, I kind of like when people are a little crazy. It doesn't offend me. I don't act, this can't happen. I'm like, just get over yourself. It makes life a little interesting. Conor's a character, but you know what? What I learned about him is he really does have a heart of gold. He's a really good guy. And by the way, everybody I've ever met in the mixed martial arts world are great people. They're just amazing. Chuck was amazing. Anyone else I've ever met is amazing, and I just have a respect.
Yeah.
think I even found the match with Mayweather and Conor interesting. You took away 90% of Conor's weapons. I mean, there's no way that Mayweather would last more than 2 minutes in an octagon with Conor McGregor. It wouldn't happen.
No, it wouldn't happen. The thing is, what I thought was interesting, too, is Mayweather's always been a defensive fighter. He's always been, that's where he made his bread and butter. And it was interesting because to me, it's like, hey, Conor might be able to do a little bit. And he was able to last long with him and respectfully had a decent bout.
How many rounds? It was 9, right?
I don't remember, Sean, I don't remember for sure how many rounds it was, but it wasn't, I think it was around there.
Well, I was surprised he was a little gassed at the end. That surprised me. Because if you're grappling, look, obviously you trained yourself, but if you grapple, I mean, it wears you out, man.
Yeah.
It's when you're doing some ground fighting, it's really tough.
Oh, God, whether you're on top or on the bottom. Amateur wrestling. Come on, everyone says that. Like, oh, yeah, it's only a couple minutes. Yeah, I'll cardio. I'll be cardio. I'll be great. And then they do it, and it's like, whoa, this is the toughest thing I've ever tried to do.
Okay, try doing that for 5 straight minutes. Good luck.
Ugh.
Then tell me you're ready for the next round.
Well, sir, I got to wrap this up. I appreciate your time, very much so. I have to ask...
I appreciate yours.
A little pro wrestling. I got to throw this in because over the years, you've had Jesse Ventura. This guy shocks the world because governor of Minnesota. Linda McMahon ran for office in Connecticut. Now, right now, Glenn Jacobs Kane is the mayor of Knox County, Tennessee. Tyrus, wow, what a mind. He's awesome on Fox News Channel. He's on Gutfeld. He's been on other things. Former NWA champion, WWE alum. He's on the program. Very good mind. Just some of the people in pro wrestling, it just, to me, it proves, Sean, and obviously I'm not going to put words in your mouth, doesn't matter where you're from, doesn't matter what you do. There's just something, some people just, politically, you can be involved and you could have good opinions and do something.
It's one of the arguments that I have made over the years, and this happened with Colin Kaepernick, is I'm like, can we please keep all politics out of sports? And I'll tell you why. Imagine you go to a football game. I'm sure you've experienced this. I've experienced it many times. You're sitting in the stands, right? All right. So everybody in that stadium, they share a common passion, right? They like football. Everybody in that stadium, if let's say you're at MetLife and you're either a Giants game or a Jets game, whatever it is, and you share usually a common passion for a team. Okay, there's nothing political about that. You find yourself, okay, Giants score, Jets score, whatever team, although they suck, both of them, this year. But, you find yourself high-fiving with strangers. I can't tell you how many people you meet, you talk to, you buy them a beer. It's like, why are we going to divide the crowd when it is the most unifying, the most naturally unifying event out there? It's so keep politics out of sports, period. Just keep it out of it.
There's a time and a place for everything.
Well, you did see the reaction on Saturday night when Trump walked into the arena. I mean, it was pretty crazy.
They had, now I got to do this. I got to get you out of here, but we had a huge fight down in Miami, UFC. Jorge Masvidal's final fight, Miami guy, my hometown kid, makes good, his final fight. Donald Trump, Kid Rock, Mike Tyson, they were there, but when Donald Trump came in, they were playing Kid Rock's American Badass. It was during the fight. The whole crowd erupted. 20,000 strong at the Kaseya Center where the Miami Heat play down in downtown Miami. The whole place erupted. I was like, oh my God, he's getting bigger applause than the fighters.
It's crazy, right?
It is.
Look, I cover him, so I don't go to a lot of his events, and but he certainly there's one politician that has been able to defy all conventional political gravity. It's Donald Trump. You would think if a guy gets arrested in a range, his poll numbers would go down, right? No, his goes up. Not once, but 4 times. Can you explain that to me? Because I've been doing this a long time. Anybody else, they would not go up. it's I think a tribute to the passion that his supporters have for him.
And Hannity's a WWE Hall of Famer. I just had to throw that in. Okay. Hey, thank you so much for your time. I know on November 30th, 90-minute debate, we've got Florida Governor, Republican presidential candidate Ron DeSantis, and Democrat California Governor Gavin Newsom. You're going to be the moderator on Hannity, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, November 30th. It's going to be real cool. This is where we're going to see politics, not a football game. See? This is where it should be.
It's going to be right there on that set. That's where it's going to happen, man.
Thank you so much. Hey, well, we might see Hannity doing a show in Florida.
Stay tuned. That's all I'll say for now.